Right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praise unto Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Double honors unto the elders of Great Millstone. And you know how it is, man. Honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, man. Blessings to the elect, right? This GMS Fear the Most High, right? I'm the brother Rakaya Kwan from GMS London. You know how we do here on this channel. We bring out information, edification, and we always encourage, Israel, fear the Most High, man. That's part of the duty of men. Okay? Today we're going to go into basically the other nations rising in military power, threatening the hegemony of the United States of America, threatening their economic, political, and military hegemony over the planet, man. The Roman Empire, okay, US, NATO hegemony, man, right? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go into this YouTube video right here. It is entitled "The Saudis Are Buying Nuclear Capable Ballistic Missiles from China." So we're gonna play that.
This is a DEFCA File special presentation. Saudi Arabia fronts the race for beating Iran to a nuclear weapon. Watch and see what Riyadh is shopping for in Beijing. It is a nuclear-capable Chinese Dongfeng 21, NATO codenamed CSS-5 ballistic missile. A Saudi official was asked where the nuclear warheads would come from. "We can get hold of them at any time," he said. DEFCA File's military sources report that Pakistan has agreed to provide Saudi Arabia with nuclear warheads for mounting on ballistic missiles. The Saudis are fully engaged in the two most active Middle East conflicts, both of which defied international bids for diplomatic solutions. Saudi forces on the Jordanian and Iraqi borders have been on high military alert for action against Syria since U.S. Defense Secretary Leon Panetta visited Riyadh in late June. So too are U.S. Fifth Fleet vessels in the Persian Gulf and Gulf Emirates. They are braced additionally for Iranian strikes on oil targets or the closure of the Strait of Hormuz to their oil exports in reprisal for the European embargo which went into effect on the 1st of July. Tuesday, Iran's Revolutionary Guards launched a 3-day missile drill against enemy air bases.
Right.
This has been a special DEFCA.
Okay, Debka. Right, so what you see in there is prophecy, man. The other nations basically getting their move on, because basically if you got enough money, let's just keep it real. If I had enough money, me personally, as just one man, I can get a nuclear weapon anytime I wanted to. Because anything is available on the black market, okay? You ain't gotta go and develop no nuclear weapons, man, because the weapons are already been made, and if you got enough money, you can get the contacts to get a nuclear weapon if you want it, man. That's just the reality of the world we live in. I know a lot of you out there, you living in that fantasy world, but the real world is, if you got enough money, you could practically buy anything you want, biological weapon, anything, because everything's for sale, man. Okay, in this world. And as you can see, the Saudis, they're getting, basically, they said it out their own mouth. They're getting the ballistic missiles, because anytime they want a nuclear warhead, they can get that, because they got that oil money. They got a whole heap of dollars that they don't know what to do with. Why not get yourself a nuclear weapon, man? Why not? Because that's the spirit of the Lord rising up the nations. For whatever reasons they think they're doing it, really, it's rising up the nations because ultimately they're going to shoot them nuclear weapons on America. That's what's happening, man. America's losing their hegemony, man. They're going down. Now, let's get Isaiah 13:4. It says, "The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations. Gathered together, the Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle." So the Most High is the one that mustering the host, the armies to this battle. And he's putting that military mindset into the minds of these nations, which 30 years ago weren't even trying to come up against America or NATO or anyone, because they were too weak. Right? The Saudi Arabia, they were just a bunch of camel jockeys, man. They never had no missiles. Look at this word master if real quick. The word there is paquad, which means to attend, to muster, number, reckon, visit, punish, appoint, look after, care for, to pay attention to, observe, to attend, to seek, look about for, to seek in vain, need, miss, lack, to visit upon, punish. Because the Lord is also them nations, the scripture tells you, they're gathered together for the Lord's indignation. He's gathering them together to punish them, because all sides are going to take losses in this great war. But the Lord is basically appointing them. He's assigning them the task of this World War III. He's making this thing happen through his spirit, through the different angels and demons at his disposal, moving the king's heart this way and that way to fulfill this. Adinajab, he gonna do what he gonna do. The king, the house of Saud, they gonna do what they gonna do. Right? Joel 3 and 9, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Now when it says the Gentiles, it means the nations. But what nations is it talking about? These nations are talking about what you call the developing world and the third world nations. Because the developing nations came out of the third world nations. You got the developed nations, which is basically US and NATO and Australia and South Africa. Right? It says, prepare war. So isn't that what the Saudis are doing? Isn't that not what the Iranians are doing? The Libyans were doing that. Pakistan, India, China. Right? All these nations around the world, which 30 years ago, they would never say, now they got the bomb. Now you got to take them seriously. It says, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords. Because all these developing nations and these third world nations, the only thing they were good for was providing rice and grain and fruit for the developed world to consume. But now they've taken the money which they've received and they're not putting it into agriculture, investing in the agricultural program. No, they're investing it in an intercontinental ballistic missiles, tanks, their military, new designs, buying military secrets from America, from rogue agents in America and Britain. And your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. India, Pakistan, 30 years ago they were the weak. Now they can say I'm strong because what? They got the nuclear bomb. Iran getting the nuclear bomb. Saudi getting the nuclear bomb. Now they want to say they're strong. That's prophecy. Right? Joel 3 and 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened. Right? So the heathen are waking up. And come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is down there in the Middle East. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Now, I'm going to show you some quick articles, man. Yeah, that's beautiful. Right? Now, this is an old school article, but it makes the point. Right? It says implications of security patterns among developing states. That's your nations. Now I'm going to read a little bit, then we're going to jump down. It says, several key trends in the security policy behavior of developing states have serious long-term implications for American security policy. I refer specifically to the diffusion of military and economic power among developing states and the growing decentralization of regional and international security system. Right? The international system has become increasingly characterized by a growing number of state participants controlling significant economic and military power. Moreover, developing states hitherto at the peripheries of international decision making are progressively becoming central to the system. So what does that mean? At one point, the power, it was a hegemony, American hegemony. What America said goes, and no one can't stand up to them because they had the power allies, which was NATO. America and NATO, what they say went down, There weren't no argument, there weren't no negotiation, because they had the hegemony on power. But now you got other nations like the BRICS who are coming into it on an economic and military level where they have to be heard, because the power is being diffused now. More and more they affect the outcomes of interstate conflicts, influence, and at times even determine the regimes in political control of foreign states and their external relations, and regulate access to strategic resources needed by other states. Now we're jumping down. Patterns of developing state security behavior. The diffusion of military power throughout the world and the fascination it seems to have for developing nations deserve attention. First, military spending is growing faster, right? In the third world, that's your nations that used to be all about their plowshares and their pruning hooks. Now they're turning them into swords. Than it is in the developed world, including Western Europe. Much of the 14.8% growth in world military expenditures between 1960 and 1977, which is where most of the statistics for this particular essay come from, because this was made in 1978, was in the developing states, which is around the time when the Mosai said he was going to bring America down. Because when you go into, where do I have it? Obadiah 1 and 4, it says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, right? So the so-called white men, beginning with America, they went up into the space. Thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. So from the 70s, the so-called white men, beginning with America, they've been losing their hegemony. What does the word hegemony mean? Let's look it up. Hegemony means leadership or predominant influence exercised by one nation over others, as in a confederation. Leadership, predominance, especially among smaller nations, aggression or expansionism by large nations in an effort to achieve world domination. America has had that hegemony really since 1945 and the end of World War II. But guess what? When in the 70s, they started to go down economically, and the other nations started to come up economically, and therefore they started to come up militarily. Because economy and military is all linked together, obviously, because you need money to spend on your military. Right? And China got a whole heap of dollars, man. So let's go back. It says, during this period, the military spending of the so-called developed states rose 305 to 319 billion in constant 1976 dollars, an increase of 4.6%, while expenditures among developing states jumped from 54 to 92 billion, or 70.4%. In the Middle East, which is where the thing's going to go down, military expenditures increased over 270%. Many states in Africa doubled their military outlays. In both instances, the rate of arms spending exceeded the growth in gross national product. So they spending more money than their gross national product on what? Weapons. In 3 instances in Africa, the Middle East and East Asia, a higher percentage of each region's GMP was spent for military in 1977 than in 1968. As the ratio of military spending to GMP fell for developed states by almost 2 percentage points, the similar spending ratio for the third world states held almost steady, falling only 0.2 of a percentage point from 6.1 to 5.9%, while GMP increased by almost 8%. These GMP military spending ratios are confirmed as might be expected in per capita expenditure data. Right. Second, the developing states account for most of the growth of world armed forces since 1968, while the armed services of developed countries decreased in manpower by almost 11% between 1960 and 1977, those of the emerging nations expanded by an average of 25%. Because once the so-called white man gets comfortable, they don't want to go join up with no fucking military. Most of these crackers out here don't want to go in the military. They're too busy enjoying the comforts gained from their conquests. In this connection, Africa changed most over the 10-year period. Their armed forces have increased from 635,000 to 1,340,000, or 111%. The Middle East follows with a 76% increase. Surprisingly, Latin America, although it had no appreciable military conflicts like those in Africa and the Middle East, registered a gain of almost 36% in the number of men under arms. Third, developing states are arming themselves with the latest in sophisticated weaponry. So they're buying the latest. In 1950, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, no third world state had supersonic aircraft or missiles, and only one possessed post-World War II armored fighting vehicles or tanks. By 1960, 38 countries had heavy armor in their inventories. Now let's go down and just look at the graph, and it shows you 1950, none of them had supersonic, none of them had missiles. One had armored fighting vehicles, and 4 had modern warships. 1960, 1 had supersonic aircrafts, 6 had missiles, 38 had armored fighting vehicles, and 26 had modern warships. Now let's look at 1970 now. This is when America began to go down. 28 supersonic, 25 missiles, 72 armored fighting vehicles, and 56 modern warships. 7 years later, 47, 42, 83, 67. And this is up until 1977. How much more say now? Right? So you get the point, man. You get the point. Number of developing states producing various military arms and materials in 1965 and 1975 respectively. So they're building their own weaponries. Aircraft. 65, 75, look, 8, 18. Missiles, 3 in 65, 8 in 75. Armored fighting vehicles, 2 in 65, 7 in 75. Warships, 11 in 65, 22 in 75. So that doubled in 10 years. Small arms, 65 in 65, 15 in 75, 22. Electronics, in 65, 4, 75, 10. Aircraft engines, in 65, 5, 75, 6. So they starting to proliferate, man. Now here it is. The proliferation of nuclear technology and weapon production capability is still another indicator of a state reaching military maturity. India's detonation of a nuclear device in 1974, again, chipping away at America's hegemony, ended any remaining illusions that nuclear proliferation might be arrested in the developing world. According to public reports, Pakistan is within reach of exploding the first Islamic bomb. Other candidates, because we already know today they have, other candidates for nuclear status include Taiwan, South Africa, South Korea, Brazil, Argentina, and Iraq, after it recovers from the Israeli air raid on the Baghdad, blah, 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 blah. The diffusion of military technology has been accompanied and partly propelled by a diffusion of economic power, principally favoring the oil-producing states. So, I don't want to go too much into that, but this is a good article. I might post it up, but this is showing you how America began to lose their hegemony. Right? I got another article here. Right, when you go up to the top, it says US weakness and the struggle for hegemony. Right? Now we're going to go down to one point. It says the second objective was to deal with the military threat. Right? Because they got to deal with the economic threat to their hegemony, but they also have to deal with the military threat. The real threat to US military power, and they say it all the time, so let's believe them, is nuclear proliferation. Because if every little country has nuclear weapons, it becomes very tricky for the United States to engage in military action. Because that one nuclear bomb makes you strong. That is what North Korea is demonstrating at this moment. North Korea only has 2 nuclear bombs, if what the newspapers say is correct. But that is enough to shake things up. You see? That's why the scripture says, Isaiah 14 and 10. It says, all day, meaning the other nations, and well, let's start from 9. It says, hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Because America is being brought down as much as the other nations are being brought up in military and economic power. Everyone's starting to see that America is basically a third world country hiding behind a first world image. America's breaking down. You look at the word for weak. The word there is khala, and it means to become weak or become sick. The American economy is sick. Their military is sick. Be or become diseased, become grieved, be or become sorry. To entreat, to pray, to beg. Right? To make oneself sick, to be made sick, to be tired. That's why the scripture says we would have healed Babylon, but Babylon is not healed, because Babylon, America, is sick, and the whole of the nations are seeing that. They're becoming weak. They're losing their power. As you can see.
A file presentation.
Now, let's take China for instance, one of the major developers. Because 30 years ago, China weren't shit. 30 years ago, China weren't shit. They got destroyed by the Chinese Opium Wars. They weren't no major player in World War II. But who can say that China ain't going to be a major player if there's another world war? Of course they are. Because they've grown in military power. This is an article from Business Insider, Military and Defense. Right? A full rundown of China's military might says Americans have heard about China's military expansion for years at this point. Some say it's a minor threat. Others claim Chinese expansion is to everyone's benefit, and still others think it spells doom for American world dominance. Of course, because the military power is now being diffused among the nations. America's losing their hegemony, man. According to the scriptures, that's what was going to happen, and that's what is happening. Here's a look at many of the weapons that China's betting on to establish its new military might. Scripture says, wake up the mighty men. The People's Liberation Army makes up the whole of Chinese military machine. The ground forces, Navy, Air Force and 2nd Artillery Corps all fall under the PLA. The PLA is the world's largest military, with more than 2.25 million active personnel. Currently, Chinese forces are only deployed fighting piracy. So while not battle hardened, this army is fresh, well equipped and in excellent health. Unlike the Americans, with their soldiers are all bugged out their mind, they got all problems with weapon systems which were supposed to work and they don't work. You got all kind of military spending being stolen, because a lot of that US military spending is basically being stolen, man. Being robbed. Now this is what they got. They got the Type 9 main battle tank. It's the most advanced tank in all of China. Right? They got the HQ-19 missile system. Can track up to 100 airborne targets at once. Just like they got some of that technology basically from the Russian S-400 surface-to-air missile. The Russians have been giving them technology. And let me tell you another thing, man. They tried to test Syria. Turkey sent in their planes to test Syria, and guess what? They found out that Russian S-400 technology works, because it shot their plane down. They tried to test, and they failed the test. But the Syrians passed the test, because they shot that plane down. Their technology works. So all you people thinking, oh, America this, America that, look, they got technology that works. Right? The HQ-19 missile system can track up to 100 airborne targets at once. The PGZ-95 anti-aircraft system fires up to 825mm rounds a minute. There they are. China's new aircraft carriers will allow Chinese air power a vast reach. So now they got aircraft carriers now, and they're planning on building more. These new frigates will allow China to enforce its exclusive economic zones. They got new frigates. Type 22 Hull Bay class is the world's first attack catamaran. The Type 052 destroyers carry 48 missiles apiece. The Kilo class submarine can bring China's nuclear payload anywhere in the world. Praise the Most High. These homemade submarines show that China's getting great at making new tech. So they're not only buying tech, they're making tech. They bought the technology to make these tech, and now they're making it the damn self and keeping it a secret. These Harbin 7-9 helicopters can transport 10 troops each virtually anywhere. These two light attack helicopters are among the best in the world. The Harbin 719 and the Hujiang whatever, okay? Right, whatever. The Tianyan 2 unmanned helicopter can launch from ships for aerial reconnaissance. The Su-30 MKK fighter jet have missiles, rockets, and laser-guided bombs. The Chengdu J-10 is the cornerstone of China's domestic fighter business. The design for the Chengdu J-11 was stolen straight from the Russians. Okay, they got the technology now. The J-20 could be the future of Chinese aviation, and that shit looks bad as hell. The Hongqi missile has an operation range of over 125 miles. Surface-to-air missile. The HQ-2JK missile can take down high-altitude bombers and spy planes. And that's how them Iranians, because they be giving technology to the Iranians, that's how they took down the American drone. And then the Iranians took that drone technology and are now giving it to Brazil and their allies. Guerrilla warfare, man. The Julang 2 delivers an immense payload up to 8,700 miles away. The Dongfeng class of ICBMs can drop a nuclear missile anywhere in North America. And they're going to do it. See, before your eyes, this is the scriptures happening before your very eyes, man. But if you don't know the scriptures, you won't know. Now let's go to Iran. A full rundown of Iran's military might, because a lot of you still think that them Iranians is a bunch of sand dwelling. Look, they got military technology. They got a large standing army of 1 million men, which can be increased. They ain't no Iraq. Iraq didn't have no military power when you went into Iraq. They was already weakened by sanctions and the first Gulf War. That was a piece of cake. Afghanistan never had no military fighting jets. But you going into Iran, you tried to send a jet to test Syria, and your ass got shot down. And I don't know what Gaddafi was playing at. Gaddafi tried cutting a deal. He should have used the missiles he had, man. But guess what? They gonna get more weapons too. They gonna use some of the weapons that even the US have given them. Now this is what they got. This is Iran's military has 545,000 active personnel, but like I said, it can go up to over 1 million. And some of the most advanced military technology of anyone out there. So you Americans, we're gonna go into Iran, turn it into a fucking glass parking lot, all that shit. What you don't understand is that was 50 years ago. Now these other nations that you thought are weak, they got the technology to do damage to you, man. And they ain't standing alone. And they know they can do damage to you. Because you be sleeping. The thing is, the United States gave them a lot of it. There you go. Granted, it wasn't the modern Iran that was stocked up with some of the hottest tech of the time, but the pre-revolutionary country that at one point was a key ally of the United States in the Middle East. Still, Iran has developed their own military industrial complex to develop, maintain, and upgrade military resources. And they've gotten pretty good at it, because they had a little help from the Chinese and the Russians, who gave them them S-300s and them S-400s, man. Now let's see the weapons. Come on, man. Let's get this link up, man. What's happening here? Satan don't want it to show. Come on, man. What's happening here? Okay, here we go. Now, this is what Iran have. officially. A full round of Iran's military might. The AH-1J Sea Cobra. The United States sold 202 of these helicopters to Iran from 1975 to 1978. The AH-1W, a similar aircraft, remains a cornerstone of the US military corps attack helicopter fleet. So it's functional and it's still good. The RIM 66 surface-to-air missile. They got that. Right? The S-300 missile system, which is the Russians gave him. This one is unconfirmed, but they got it through back door. But Iran claims they have them, and the sources are plausible. And if they do have them, the S-300, that's a pretty big deal. Because it's the S-300 and S-400s are the best missile systems in the world. Iran claimed they had inked a contract with Russia on some of the systems, which the Russians categorically deny. Of course they're going to do that. They may have gotten some from Gaddafi, which Gaddafi didn't use them, man. They may have scored some from Croatia or Belarus, or some parts from Russia. They have made the Bavast 373 system, which Iran claims has the same capabilities as the S-300. Still, this system would be quite a get. NATO called it the S-10 Gladiator. The Soviets developed in the 1970s, and it's been continually upgraded until the cessation of production in 2011. It's one of the most potent anti-aircraft missile systems in the field today. That's what you Americans have got waiting for you, man. And all you niggas and you nigger women that call yourself being in the white man's military, you gonna get your leg and your arm and your head blown off, man, going over to fight in that World War III. And good for your ass. Because none of you Negroes, Hispanics, Native American Indians should be fighting in the white man's army anyway. Don't you know, according to Rex 84, let me get that up real quick. Don't you know, according to Rex 84, this is the wrong link, that the white man puts you niggas in a position where you're the most likely to get killed? You dumb coons, man. Now, I'm not saying you brothers that had to go Vietnam and all that, but you got niggas in 2000, from the year 2000, talking about how you want to sign up and go to Iraq and go to Afghanistan. You out your damn mind. Don't, from Project Orange, when they put chemicals on them Vietnam vets, where they got flipping, what they call it, deranged, malformed children. You should already know that the US military don't give a damn about their military. Why would you want to join a military that openly experiments on its own men? That's got them using depleted uranium rounds, that you come back and your teeth are falling out. Are you out your damn mind? How am I going to join a military that's got more chance of killing me than the enemy have? That shows you niggas are out your damn mind. Now let's go. Let's get this right here. Now this is from the Rex 84. It says, we are confident that the minority, which is speaking about you Negroes, Hispanics and Native American Indians, man, would hold any city it took for only a few hours. That's in the event of a race war. The lack of weapons, facilities, logistics all put the minority at a final disadvantage, which they're going to find out that they're still going to go down. Since the Korean War, this department has shifted minority members of the armed forces, that's you Negroes, Hispanics, Native American Indians, to areas where combat is most likely to occur, with the aim of eliminating through combat as many combat trained military servicemen as possible, because they don't want you niggas going and joining the military, learning how to fight and then surviving and coming back to America. Because in the event of a race war, you're going to have a whole heap of black veterans who are going to be fighting on the side of blacks. You got a whole heap of Hispanic veterans who are going to be fighting on the side of Hispanics, and they're going to have weapons. And they're going to know how to use it, and they're going to know how to mount an attack. That's dangerous. Through combat, as many combat-trained military servicemen as possible. Today, the ratio of minority member combat deaths in Vietnam, where they are serving as advisors, is twice as high as the minority population ratio to the rest of America. So they openly put you in the military, and they put you in a position where they want your ass to get killed. In South Park, they put that in South Park. It was called Operation Black Shield, man. You niggas think that's a joke? They actually do that, man. Check the statistics. Now let's go back over here. So you niggas joining up for the white man's army, you gonna go over there and get put to death. You ain't coming back. You nigger patriots, man. Go over there, man. Just go. And don't come back, man. I hope them Arabs chop your damn heads off, man. With blunt knives. For being a damn fool. So anyway. They got the BGM-71 TOW. This anti-tank missile is one part on the long tumultuous history of US-Iranian relationships, man. So that's why the scripture says the wicked is snared by the workings of their own hands, man. Because they're greedy for money and greedy for allies. They giving their enemies weapons. The homegrown Zulfiqar tank. Iran has put a lot of effort into developing domestically manufactured tech. The Zulfiqar tank is one great example of what they've accomplished so far. Named after the legendary sword of the Prophet Muhammad's son-in-law, the Zulfiqar is a 41-ton, 23-foot long battle tank manufactured in Iran by the Shahid Kalar Duz industrial complex. They're ready for you, man. The F-14 Tomcat. The United States knows that Iran has acquired the F-14 Tomcat. After all, we did sell it to them. Right? The F-14A, the variant that Iran has, first flew in December 1970. We sent later sent 79 of the fighter jets to Iran. 59 remain in service, maintained thanks to reverse engineering. The Kilo class submarines. So they got submarines, man. The MiG-29 fighter jet. For Iran, the name of the game is maintaining an upgraded military surprise from decades ago to remain operable in the modern age. With the MiG-29, that's not exactly hard. The MiG-29 remains in use in the Russian Air Force. More than 1,600 have been built. It has a max speed of Mach 2.25 and a range of nearly 900 miles. So they ain't out of the game. The Karar drone. This one could be big, as it means that Iran is in line with the rest of the world after contracting drone fever. So they got drones too. Bonus, Iran's secret weapon, the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, they could shut that down and basically starve the world of oil, which they threatening to do. Oh shit, now they're going into Syria, which I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll put the link and you can see for yourself. But you get the point. Right? So you get the point, man. The point is there that these other nations, they're building up their military, preparing for this World War III that the Most High is setting up, and America's going to be destroyed, man. The nations are going to burn her with fire. Let's get that. Let's finish on that. And we'll finish with that. That's beautiful. Revelation 17 and 16. Right? And the 10 horns which represent NATO, which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, which is America, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So in the end, even NATO, America's allies, are going to turn on America and launch missiles. So if even their allies are going to launch missiles, you're damn sure these other nations are going to launch missiles too. They're going to destroy Babylon. Let's get Jeremiah the 51st chapter and solidify the situation. Jeremiah 51 and 7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. What's that wine? America's going around the world telling the Saudi Arabians they gotta have their women in a damn fucking talent show. What the hell does that, who are you to go tell the Saudi Arabians, if they want to have a talent show, who are you to tell them that they got to put their women in there? What the fuck, what's that got to do with you? Is it necessary for a woman to be in a damn talent show? It ain't even necessary for a man to be in no fucking talent show, man. You gotta go, oh, their women have to go university. Oh, you gotta give their women right to be divorced. Give their women rights to be sluts and harlots. And this basically destroy their nation, destroy their people, destroy their family values. So they can be just like you, America, a nation full of STDs, high divorce rates, and falling into the flipping gutter. That's what you want the rest of the world to be like. You want them to have gay rights. You want two men to get married, man. Totally destroying the fabric of humanity, man. You want them to give their people vaccines, fluoridate their water, genetically modified crops, plastic surgery, all kind of madness, man. Abortion. Oh, it's so horrible that Afghanistans won't allow their women to have abortions. Oh my God. That's why you're gonna get blown up, man. You're gonna get blown up. The nations are getting pissed off. The men in them nations are getting pissed off now. Hell, even the women are getting pissed off because now they're dropping dead from breast cancer and all kind of madness, man. And who they blaming it on? America. Because they know all that madness comes from America. The fact that their daughter is getting popped by about 20 different men. Hold on, they're saying, where did this come from? Oh, it must be America, Hollywood. Free love and all that bullshit. That's that wine, man. Democracy. All these nations are realizing that democracy ain't nothing but bullshit. Because when they want to use democracy to vote in someone that's not favorable to America or NATO, then America say that ain't democracy. So they're starting to realize that democracy ain't no democracy for the betterment of them. It's democracy that betters America, that favors America. They make sure they put their people in power. And if they can't put their people in power, then they install a dictator like Mubarak, like Saddam Hussein. Everyone's waking up to you now, man. Well, except these dumbass white people in America and Britain. Most of them are sleeping. And definitely the majority of you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, you ain't got a damn clue what's going on. And even though we're trying to wake you up, you still don't want to hear it, man. The philosophies and the beliefs of America are wicked. Free choice, women's lib, gay lib, children liberation, because now in America now it's illegal. It's going to be child abuse to make your children do chores, because they say that's child abuse, that's slavery. So now if you have a child and you tell them to go rake the leaves outside, because that's what you do with your children, you put them under order. The white man in America says that's child abuse, but the white man in America can put people in slavery and have people working in all kind of warehouses underage. That's okay, but you can't tell your children to go rake up some leaves or go put some work in on your own farm. How you think people ran farms in ancient days, even unto this day? Your children grow up and help you run the farm. They feed the horses, they feed the cattle. Now the white man's saying that's going to be illegal. To hell with you so-called white. That's why the nations, they're going to drop bombs on you, man. They're going to drop nuclear ICBM bombs on your ass. Because you made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed, because there ain't no healing for America. America's done. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. The Lord hath brought forth our righteousness, Israel's righteousness. Come, and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our God. Make bright the arrows. What's the arrows? That's them missiles. Gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, which is Putin, for his device is against Babylon, America, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord and the vengeance of his temple. America, you got to pay for the blood of the saints, man. You got to pay for all your vagrant disrespect against the Most High and his Son. And you got to pay for the blood you spilled of the other nations, man, unrighteously. Right? And I don't care if you don't believe it. That's what's happening. That's what's going to go down, man. And as it is written, let's get I believe it's the 50th chapter. Let's get that. It tells you, man, the fate of America, man. Let's go down. There we go. Jeremiah 50 and 40. As God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. So America's going to become a great desert, man. Okay? And all the nations, the Most High is giving them the weapons, technology, raising their spirit up, raising up their military power, waking them up so that they can fulfill that deed. And that's going to happen real soon, man. So we see you got one choice. If you're a so-called Negro, Hispanic, Native American Indian, you can choose to do the right thing and come back to the Heavenly Father, and then you shall be saved from the judgment that is going to come down in America and these other nations around the world. Or you can carry on doing what you want to do and living like a fucking heathen. But then when the missiles come, first before that, when the famine and the biological weapons and the race riots and the concentration camps come, don't look for salvation. Look for a grievous death. And if you manage to survive all that, when the missiles start flying around the world, right? Don't look for salvation, man. When you see that missile flying through the sky, just take your hat off, sit down, and enjoy the fire, man. Because that's your choice. You niggas in London, I always say it, London's gonna catch a missile, man. London is gonna be destroyed. The Russians, in a war between Russia and NATO, London is one of the first targets strategically on the list to get nuked. Because if you nuke London, you send a message to all the other nations like, look, we ain't fucking around. So London is on the list. And London's going to be flattened, okay? I'm going to prophesy that to you right now. London is going to catch an ICBM. And anyone left in London when the ICBM drops, you're going to look like Sarah Connor in Terminator 2. And that's all I got to say, man. So with that, I'm going to say shalom, man.